Thank you, Imalai. Tonight we celebrate the access to success provided for the students and alumni of Cristo Rey. I stand here as an example of what happens when doors are open. I'm fresh out of Lemoyne and 4 months into a job at JP Morgan. But thanks to Cristo Rey, it is not my first job. When asked to speak here tonight at the University Club, I thought back to my first days as a freshman and how I almost let the opportunity pass me by. My mom heard about Cristo Rey when current students came to my church to talk about the school. She saw they were poised and knew how to carry themselves. She heard the promise of a college prep education and a job program, and she was sold. I can't say the same was true for me. I dreaded those 3 weeks in July before my freshman year when I had to take part in Cristo Rey's Puente program, taking math, English, and business bootcamp classes. So much for a summer vacation. That summer I had more homework than I ever did in middle school. After those 3 weeks were over, I wasn't convinced that Cristo Rey was the school for me. Somehow, when the first day of school rolled around, I had talked my mother into letting me go to public school instead, the school where all my friends were going. She was disappointed, and I could see that. I knew she envisioned such a great promise for me at Cristo Rey, but even still, I didn't listen and spent my first day at a huge public school. My first day at school went horribly. Classes were beyond capacity, my classmates were rude, and everything was completely disorganized. I recall a teacher saying, "It is up to you whether you are here or not. I will teach regardless." Everything was so unlike what I had experienced in my 3 summer weeks at Cristo Rey. And that first day, I felt uncared for and invisible. I stood up and walked out. The next morning, my mother, who I'm sure was silently saying, "I told you so," in her head, rode the train down with me to Cristo Rey. We met with Mr. Ford and asked if there was any way I could rejoin my classmates. With a huge smile and a handshake, I was back on board. I realized 2 things that day. What a huge opportunity I almost let slip away, and 2, that my mother's always right. From there on out, I was a Cristo Rey lion. Sure, it wasn't smooth sailing from the start. I struggled with the discipline and found myself in JUG, the Jesuit form of detention, justice under God, more times than I should probably share. But those many hours spent sitting silently in a classroom with my hands folded on the desk taught me that there were consequences to my actions. Late assignments, tardiness, and poor dress code were not tolerated. Things I'm happy that I learned at 14 and not later in life. All my fellow Cristo Rey alums in the room tonight will get my reference. Raise the bar. Something our English teacher, Sister Jude, was constantly repeating to us. I recall this imaginary bar that I so despised because every time I heard those words, I knew what it meant: more work. Throughout my 4 years at Cristo Rey, the bar kept getting higher. More work and responsibilities and higher expectations. But it's through this that I'm constantly raising the bar for myself. The classroom and the jug room weren't the only places at Cristo Rey where I was challenged and exposed to new ideas and concepts. There was also my corporate work study job. For 2 years, I worked at El Museo del Barrio, helping prepare for exhibits and program events. I learned how important the skill of organization is and what it means to collaborate and work on a team. My junior and senior year, I was placed at Eurotech Construction in their accounting department. My work varied week to week. Sometimes I helped with payroll. Other times I verified tax information or did data entry. My coworkers would talk to me about their experiences and offered advice about colleges and career paths. Through these weekly conversations and my work, I realized the interest I had in accounting, a field I knew nothing about before working at Eurotech. It was settled. I wanted to become an accountant. Now all I had to do was go to college. Luckily for me, I had Cristo Rey's college counseling team to help me every step of the way, from working with me to form my college list, to editing my essays and supplements, to arranging my bus trip up to see Lemoyne. They were there every step of the way. Far from the commotion of New York City, I knew it was a place where I could continue to grow personally, academically, and professionally. And just like Cristo Rey, it was small and Jesuit. I quickly realized people were going to look out for me. Professors and advisors were eager to meet with students and help in any way that they could. From that moment I stepped on Lemoyne's campus, I knew it was the right choice for me. As I am sure it's the same for all of you in the room, my 4 years of college went by way too fast. It's probably because I was busy the whole time, serving as a summer RA, traveling to Thailand for a securities analysis course, volunteering with campus ministry, and serving as president of the investment club. And of course, studying. This past May, I graduated cum laude in accounting and finance. and received the award for the highest senior year GPA in the business curriculum. And who was at my graduation but Father Parks, who was also receiving an honorary degree from Lemoyne. Although Cristo Rey was 5 hours away, it never felt that way. If I ever needed anything, there were always an email or a call away. And there were visits to campus from Father Parks, Miss Kane, and Miss Mahalati, always with care packages in hand. At Cristo Rey's freshman orientation, you are, of course, assigned a book to read, The 7 Habits of a Highly Effective Team. One habit that sticks with me is begin with the end in mind. For me and every student at Cristo Rey, the end is twofold: to graduate from high school and college. Since my days as a high school intern at Eurotech, my end goal has been to become an accountant. As I stand here tonight, I'm proud to say that I am not only the first in my family to receive a high school and college diploma, but I am currently a first-year analyst at JP Morgan. And in between work and writing this speech, I've been studying for my CPA exam, which I'll sit for in December. To say Cristo Rey has been a transformative experience for me is almost an understatement. It's really been a transformative experience for my entire family. My younger sister is also a Cristo Rey graduate and currently a sophomore in college. And my younger brother is applying to start his freshman year at Cristo Rey next fall. Father Parks, maybe you can put a good word in for him. And my parents, who came here 25 years ago from Mexico with the end goal of giving their children an education and opportunities. They have done just that. Cristo Rey gave me the foundation, and at Lemoyne, I prospered. And for that, I am entirely grateful. Thank you.